There's a new Big Daddy in town, and yes, I'm looking forward to trying this one out. I'm not talking about Dark Arm Dragon, no. This one's got a really big attack points. What do you think I was going to say? Get your mind out of the gutter. Hey everybody, this is Tombox, and originally today's video was going to be a Metatron video of different techs that you can play to win, how to play them, and how to throw your opponent off rhythm. But I'm going to save that for a different time because I'm sure we're all feeling a little bit of that old snake eye fatigue. So let's shift over into future Yu-Gi-Oh! What does the future have in store? Well, let's take a look at Infinite Forbidden 1. One of my favorite archetypes of all time, Drytrons. Drytrons are getting new support, and they got new Big Daddy Drytron, and we're gonna have to take a look at that. 2, there's Fiendsmith. Both of these were announced today, and I'm sure you're gonna see a lot of fluctuation in prices. Nishi will probably cover that tomorrow, so, well, you guys probably should know some of these right now. So, of course, it's gonna be a lot of it's in Magical Muskets, because Fiendsmith, they are light fiend-based monsters. And then the second one is going to be Drytron cards. You're probably going to see those Mu Betas kind of spike up a little bit. Maybe Diviners as well. I don't know. Diviners, I don't know. I kind of have that on my ban list prediction. Just spoiler alert. Let's take a look first into the Drytron stuff. First card on the Drytron list, we have Drytron New 2. A light level 1 machine, of course. They're all Drytrons. They're going to be light level 1s. They're going to be ridiculously large level ritual monsters. Okay, cannot be normal summoners. That must be special summoned by a card effect. You can only use the effect 1 and 2 of this card's name once each per turn. You cannot ritual summon monsters the turn you activate this card's effect except machine. So it does lock you into ritual machine. Very interesting. So we're not herald abusing if we use this card. I need to think about whether or not that is worth playing, because if you're gonna lock me into like machine rituals, we're only using those Drytron rituals. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love myself some Draconids, okay? And I guess we're gonna have to see how the Big Daddy kind of holds itself. So looking at this, okay, first effect, if there is a Drytron card on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. As if it's actually gonna leave the field. It's 100% getting turned into an Xyz material, okay? Second part here is, if this card is special summon, add 1 Drytron monster from your deck to your hand, except for new 2. That's really good. Okay, so let's do a little counting here. So we have 3 Cyber Emergencies to add a Drytron card. We have a Foolish Burial, that's 4. We have 3 copies of Alpha, okay? And then we have also 3 copies of this, giving this deck a 9-card starter by base. Not to mention that if you open Gamma plus another monster, you can go into Mu Beta. Mu Beta can also get you another Drytron card. I think this deck doesn't have a consistency issue, but remember, whenever Drytron was meta, Droll was also meta at the same time. People had to play Droll. They played Droll, Ash, Bell, and these are still the same cards that hurt it, and those are currently in the format. But if you look at how Drytron is right now in terms of the ban list, I mean, aside from Eva not being a card that's available to us, we essentially have the entire Drytron package available. But of course, due to collateral damage to the current format, where everyone's just dropping every single best hand trap possible, Drytron is kind of in, collateral damage area where it can't really shine anymore. At least not in the current format. Okay, that's a really good card, but I don't know how that machine lock is going to be, because I enjoyed using my Herald lock. Herald of Ultimate List, just shutting down everyone, was a pretty fun way to play. But if you don't need your normal summon, you can go back to just playing just Vanity's Ruler. Just tribute summon Vanity's Ruler, especially when this is just a free body that doesn't even require you to tribute a card to summon out, and you can still use the Angel Benten stuff. All right, that's kind of cool. Let's move on to the next card. Let's take a look at Big Daddy Drytron Meteonis Daddy, or Dad, for December Alpha Draconids. Okay, cool card name. 5,000 attack points. Holy, like, you're gonna have struggle to run this over. You need an access code, guarantee 3 material, or else you're not running over this monster at all. Okay, and it protects all of your other Drytron monster from being destroyed by card effects. I think that part is actually quite nice. You can ritual summon this with Meteonis Drytron, since they only have 1 ritual spell anyway. Up to twice per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish Drytron monsters from your graveyard whose attack total equals or exceeds the monster's original attack. Okay, that's pretty good. And you can negate the activation, destroy that monster. Okay, that's kind of neat. I'm not a big fan of banishing Drytron monsters, considering that they're all just gas in the graveyard. Like, Drytrons, remember, the graveyard is your hand. And if this card is ritual, if this ritual summon card you control is destroyed by your opponent, okay, if it's destroyed by your opponent, you can special summon one ritual monster with 4,000 attack from your hand. Yo, it's a 4,000 attack ritual monster. It doesn't say... I caught the wording here. It doesn't say a machine ritual monster. It just says 4,000 attack. And there's one monster I know that also has 4,000 attack. That's a ritual monster, and I believe that is Chaos Max. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a super huge fan of this card. I really like that. Hey, this is actually a boss monster that has monster effect negations attached to it, not to mention that it's really big. But the one thing I really don't like about this card is that the attack stat is that big. It's 5,000 attack points. Isn't that a good thing, Tom? If you've never played Drytron, then you'd know that the numbers that you want are 2,000 and 4,000. If you're gonna put at 5,000, might as well give me 6,000, because we ritual summon based off of the attack points of the monster, and Drytron monsters have 2,000 attack by base. So to summon up the 4K ones, you need 2 monsters already. Is this going to be better than using a Herald of Ultimateness? Probably, because it doesn't cost you any cards in your hand, so you don't have to worry about hand maintenance for the most part. But at the same time, this particular card is just so high that it's going to cost you like 3 monsters by base. I mean, the new 2 definitely helps out by giving itself another free body that would likely be overlaid and get you a search, so it's very consistent at the very least, because then you have like 9 plus 1 card starters to kind of kick off the entire engine. But you do lock yourself into the machine rituals if you do use new 2. Man, I gotta fix my wording here. New 2. Okay, so let's look at the other effects here. So Drytron monsters you control, other Drytron monsters you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. I like that. It's only the others because it also punishes people. I can't wait for people to actually try this out, because what people are likely going to do during the release week of this is that they're going to use Promethean Princess to blow this up, because this is a very, very big threat, and maybe burn one of those effects because they have to like banish 2 cards to kind of protect it. But then what's going to happen is that it gets blown up instead, and then Chaos Max comes out, and you're playing Snake Eye, so you likely have defense mode Snake Eye monster with 200 defense, and then it's gonna get pierced for 7,600 attack points, and that's gonna come out of your life points. That's gonna hurt, and not to mention that they can just take 2 more monsters and just make it leerless and attack you directly. You're basically facing lethal turn after turn after that, or maybe just like get counter punished for game because you blew up the wrong monster. So there's a punishing point in this. And then twice per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish a Drytron monster. I like that effect. It's just double monster effect negation, which can come up. But the banishing likely is going to push you into playing the beta. Like, you might play a copy of beta just so you can kind of cycle stuff back. Or you're likely going to play that new trap card, the Drytron, the continuous trap card. I'm usually not a big fan of these cards, but here we go. If a Drytron monster becomes banished, contribute 1 Drytron monster, then target up to 2 of those banished Drytron cards. That's the cost and the activation. Add them to your hand. I mean, you get to add back 2 of your Drytron cards, which is not bad, considering that 99% of people are going to throw Bestials at you. They're going to throw DD Crows at you. They're going to throw Cycle Readers at you. Being able to cycle back some of your banished Drytron cards, that doesn't seem too bad. Unfortunately, it says tribute a Drytron monster, which means you can't tribute the card in your hand to kind of cycle cards, which you give or take, kind of, go figure, I guess. The next part is you can reveal 1 Meteonis Drytron and then perform a ritual summon of a machine ritual by using the attack points, and you can summon that monster from hand or graveyard, but you're going to be using your hand and field for that particular cost, okay, for that ritual summon. I mean, that's cool, I guess. I don't really mind it. I think it's a great way to kind of recover some of your cards, and maybe if your board is about to get blown up, I think that quick ritual effect is probably the scarier part of the 2. Because if you just surprise your opponent by saying, surprise, here's another ritual monster on the field, good luck dealing with it, it gets pretty rough, and it gives you like another access to perform another ritual summon. I think that's all right. It's not bad. We're looking at end boards like We have Big Daddy giving you 2 effect negation. We have Mu Beta giving you maybe at least 1 spell negation. If you have multiple Mu Betas on the field, even better, because it's not once per turn, so you can have multiple spell trap negations. That's great. And then you have a handful of hand traps, because now we're not relying on Herald of Ultimateness to kind of shut your opponent down. Although I do love using Herald of Ultimateness. Don't get me wrong, that card is still like the best monster if you have to let it sit alone. Negates everything, summons monster spells and traps and everything. It's pretty nasty, so it's still like top tier ritual monsters of all time. But even having that kind of coverage, if you're able to land a Vanity's Ruler on the field, that also shuts down special summoning, and then you have all your hand traps available in your hand. I think there's a good potential with this deck, but it really depends on whether or not it becomes like tier 1. If it becomes tier 1, then it becomes not that great. It's the best deck if it's the second best deck, because people don't account for it as much. That's kind of how I want to say it. But the boards, I think it's still pretty good, even if you don't rely on the Heralds. Well, that's all the Drytron cards we have so far. I hope that there's maybe a couple others that we can take a look at that just pushes it right to the top, but this is still really good. I'm looking forward to trying it out. Hopefully Drone Lockbird gets limited along the way, so it just becomes a little bit easier. Just putting that out there. Next we have the Fiendsmith. At least that's what they're called right now, the Fiendsmith. In terms of the monsters, they're light fiend monsters, and okay, we already had them before, like magical muskets, but let's take a look at what we have so far. It's a level 6 light fiend monster, 1800 attack, 2400 defense, 3 effects on this monster. You can discard this card to add a Fiendsmith spell or trap. You can target a Fiendsmith equip you control, and 1 monster on the field, send them to the graveyard. And if this card's in the graveyard, you can shuffle another light fiend in your graveyard to the deck or extra deck and special summon this card. 100%. That's gonna put Bystials back on the map while this card is live, because people don't want people to free special. I think the best effect of this particular card is that it can summon itself from the graveyard by shuffling another Light Fiend monster. It cycles back some of the resources you've used just so they can summon it back out. That's the first take. Other thing to note, it's level 6, it's a fiend. It's a Wave King Caesar option. Not to mention it's a fiend, so you can go into Yama, and so you got 2 paths already that's open for this particular card. And then we got another level 6. All right, it seems like it's already lining up to do so. We have 2 light fiend monsters. Okay, you can fusion summon this card. Do you have a fusion? Do you have a fusion spell? Okay, well, but regardless, if this card's fusion summon, requiring 2 light fiends, you can target 1 light fiend monster in your graveyard or banishment. Either add it to your hand or special summon. So there you go. Take this card, take the first card, overlay the 2, boom, you got Wave King Caesar. That's really easy. Second effect, your opponent loses 600 attack, so I'm guessing that's just a continuous effect. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, shuffle 1 other light monster into... Well, hold on. If this card's sent to the graveyard, you can shuffle 1 other light fiend monster from your graveyard into the deck or extra. Inflict 1200 damage? Well, okay, this is Longen in a destructive form. So they have burn for game? That's okay. Calm down. Okay. I like where the other cards are going because they shuffle back resources to do something, and this one also summons from the graveyard. So naturally, I'm getting a little bit of a feel of Kikalos from this card, like in terms of like how it's played in terms of for its position in the deck. So the second fusion monster is Demon Smith or Fiendsmith Desiree. Oh, the first one I mentioned in the name is Lacrimosa. Level 9, pretty big. Fiendsmith plus 2 other light fiend monsters. Well, it's pretty hard to super poly with this. Okay. First of all, let's take a look. Quick effect: you can negate a number of face-up cards on the field until the end of this turn, up to the total link rating of monsters equipped to this card as equipped. Okay, so I'm guessing all the link monsters they equip onto your monsters. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can shuffle 1 light fiend monster from your graveyard into the deck or extra deck, then target 1 card on the field, send it to the graveyard. That's not bad. So when it exits the field, or it hits the graveyard rather, it's gonna be able to send something away. Hey, yo, no. Hey, there's some more applications. If your opponent tries to use Dogmatic Maximus on this, you get to punish them, send this and another light fiend, trigger this effect, put away one of the problem cards that your opponent is using against you, and then boom, you have yourself a free out. That's not bad. If you already have something in there, that's even better. If you can even play additional draw cards or whatever, then even better. But like, hey, at least by default you have some level of resistance against Maximus, which is not bad. Okay, let's take a look at some of these Link monsters. We have Fiendsmith Requiem, the Link 1 monster. 1 Light Fiend monster as material. Link 1 guys, we all know this is probably some broken ass monster. So let's take a look at this. So during the main phase, quick effect, you can tribute this card. Quick effect main phase, it's great. Special summon 1 Fiendsmith monster from your deck. Okay, so any Light Fiend monster turns into the Fiendsmith, essentially. That's what you're saying. That's really free. Okay, so if you can generate another monster with this, you can actually start climbing the Fiend ladder. I think so. Yeah, you can definitely climb the Fiend ladder with this. You can target a non-Link Light Fiend monster you control, so anything but the Links, and equip this card from your field or graveyard to that target. I like that you can equip it from the graveyard, so that's pretty cool. But I guess the first effect of the Fiendsmith says that you can target a Fiendsmith, equip card you control, and 1 monster on the field, send them to the graveyard. Yo, that's actually not bad. You can use this to send away your opponent's card. Now that I'm kind of getting a reread on this, yeah, you can just send away your card, and it doesn't have to be the card that it's equipped to. So I actually think that that's pretty good. It's a good removal. Okay, so that's essentially all it does. But hey, that means you can go Fiendsmith into like, oh my god, the climates are kind of nasty here. So let's take a look at the Link 2. This is Sequentia, 2 corner arrows, 1200 attack, so it's mainly just a utility card. During your main phase, fusion summon 1 Fiend fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling materials mentioned on it from your graveyard into the deck. What? This is so nasty. This is like another broken card. Literally, if you make... Okay, if you make this Link 2, all it's really telling me right now is that you automatically get to summon out the Fusion 6, which is Lacrimosa. Lacrimosa is going to summon back your Fiendsmith, leading you into essentially a rank 6 monster or a Link 4 for free. No, this card is so nasty. It's just like, this is combo centric. This is exactly what combo decks are looking for. Like, every single line leads to a second piece of a combo. Okay, if that's what we're doing. Okay, just on those effects alone, it's already really, really crazy. I'm not gonna lie, this is really crazy. Okay, like Fiendsmith Tractus, the normal spell card, add a Light Fiend monster, and then discard one. Yo, that discard one doesn't even matter too much, I think. You can even play a little bit of Dark World, to be honest, because you're discarding one at the end, so it's actually by card effect, and because it's by card effect, you can use that to generate advantage, so you can kind of do a little bit of a Twilight hybrid Fiend build. You can banish this card from a Grave Fusion, so this card also acts as the Fusion Summon card, and then there's the Quick Play spell. If you control no face-up monsters or all face-up monster Life Fiends, you can summon out a Fiend token, which is also kind of nice, because now you can automatically get yourself a free Link 1. It's pretty nasty, and you can also reset this card if a Fiendsmith monster you control is destroyed by opponent's card effect while this card is in the graveyard, so it has good recovery capability. And then there's the Trap card, Paradisium. Oh man, I'm not usually a big fan of trap cards. You can target 1 level 7 or higher Light Fiend monster you control, send all the cards on the field to the graveyard except that monster. Yo, it's a board wipe. I like board wipes. If a opponent special summons a monster while this card's in the graveyard, you can banish this card, send 1 Fiendsmith monster from your deck or extra to the graveyard. The second effect, I think I like it a bit better, because you can use that to send the level 9 fusion, and then that's going to be able to kind of get rid of your opponent's monster. There's value in this card just by having it around. So I've seen some pretty nasty combos with this already, merging it with Yubel. Like, actually really nasty combos merging it with Yubel. I can't use a simulator to demonstrate it, but I'll do a play-by-play for you if needed. Here we go, starting off with Nightmare Throne activation, getting the Samsara D Lotus, tribute summon out Spirit of Yubel, gets access to Nightmare Pain, pops it and adds a Grave Squirmer into hand, the new one, and that allows the Throne to summon out the second form of Yubel, and the Spirit will summon out with a regular Yubel, taking your 2 Yubels. Now you link them into Lord Yama, and that adds Shavara. But because we are playing in the future, we have the new Yubel cards. We're going to shuffle back 2 Yubels in the graveyard to create the Yubel 9, And then now that we control a yugioh monster, we can special summon out that Grave Squirmer without destroying anything. And then we're going to perform the Link 2 with the Yama, and then that allows us to use the Grave Squirmer, and then we get to make a card that we don't currently have, which is the mini Underworld Goddess, Moon of the Closed Sky. Closed Sky is the Light Link 2 Fiend, which doesn't really do anything, but essentially that gets converted into the Fiendsmith. Then the Fiendsmith tributes to summon out the Fiendsmith, and then the Grave Squirmer can now banish to summon out the spirit of the Yubel. Use the effect of Shavar to pop the spirit of Yubel, which allows the Yama to activate and chain, and the spirit of Yubel will summon back the Yubel onto the field, and now you have a bunch of monsters again. And then you use a Shavara and the Fiendsmith to create the Link 2 of Sequentia. Sequentia will now will not do anything just yet, but instead you use the 2 10s to make Decanologue the Voldrath, and that's essentially the Omni Negate. And then using Sequentia's effect, you use that to summon out the Fiendsmith Fusion 6. The Fusion Smith brings out back the Fiendsmith from the graveyard. Then you take the Fiendsmith and the Link 2 and go back into the Yama, and then you use the Fiendsmith effect in the graveyard, put back one of your light fiends into the extra deck, and then you summon that onto the field, and then you make Wave King Caesar. That was a 1-card combo. If you look at the entire board now, it's got a lot of stuff. Overall, both of these are tier 1 potentials in my book, so if you're going to be picking up cards, you should probably pick them up soon, because we're going to talk about it, the prices are going to rise, Nishi's going to talk about it, and just to kind of highlight, the trend of where things are going. But that's all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button. I will go back into the meta soon. We'll talk about fun little techs that we can do and how to play certain techs to gain an advantage, because people nowadays feel like you're always comparing hands to see if you're going to be winning, because everyone's kind of playing the same deck. But there are ways that you can gain advantage over your opponent by playing off tempo, and those are the techs I want to cover in a future video. But until then, make sure, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell. We're almost at 100K, and I really appreciate all of you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.